Good morning. They were waiting on me. I'm like, no, you just keep playing. The guy doesn't show up. He's in the bathroom. Hey, guys, good to see you all this morning. Merry Christmas to you. I know it's a little bit like a week early, but this is our last time to get together until the 7th of January. And the next couple of services will be happening in the main sanctuary. Will be the 24th this next Sunday, and then that will be at 11 o'clock. It'll be a Christmas Eve service, and it'll be Christmas Eve all day long into the evening. And then the next week after that, the New Year's Eve service will actually just be, again, one service. There'll probably be food happening in here prior to that service, but there'll be the one service, and it'll be also happening in the sanctuary. So all the other services will join in with them that Sunday. So we won't be back in here until the 7th. So it's good to have you all here with us this morning. We're so glad we've got special folks here with the music. It's so good to have Hillary Hummel here on the harp, and to have the band in here has prepared a lot of good music, and so it's mostly a Sunday morning of music and some special surprises and stories and such, so we're glad to have you here. A couple of quick things. As you're filling out your cards, as you're filling out your information, your registration information, please do that. And notice folks around you if you're visiting for the first time. Kind of check around and say hello to one another. There will not be a wishful thinking tomorrow night, just to make sure. I think it says that it will be meeting again on January the 8th, so for the next couple of Mondays we'll have a little hiatus. And then the other opportunities there are for participating, there's still in some various ministry activities here for the Christmas season, first responders. We want you to make sure and take advantage of that. If you I'm sure that a number of you made pledges, and you may not have gotten your Christmas ornament from the church, and I was asked to make sure you remembered about that. I know there's more back in the back. It's not like this one for anyone who didn't get one. There are more of these in the back, but just a way of the church is saying thank you. It's a Christmas ornament. And look in the back. I think there's a box back there that we'll have them set out. And I think that's all for now. Can we think of anything else? I think that's it for now. We have some beautiful music, and so good to have you all here. So let's begin with a rather interesting opening to a worship service.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus, as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black pea. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stank, stunk. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful socks. Your heart's a dead tomato, splotched with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of deplorable rubbish imaginable. Mangled up, entangled up, knots. You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with a nos, super nos. You're a crooked jerker jockey, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. You're a three-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce. Merry Christmas.
Good morning. As you know, it's our tradition during the season of Advent to light candles, and we have 3 that have been lit during this season of Advent thus far. The candle of love, and then the candle of hope, and today we light the candle of joy. This is the determination to find joy, not because of the circumstances of life, but in spite of the difficulties and challenges that come in life. We choose joy. Now, join me, if you would, in our time of welcome. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again.
I want to ask all you amazing people to please stand and sing a little Christmas carol with us. And if you brought your offering, now's a super great time to bring it to the table. Here we go. All together with all you got. Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria, he that shouts his Deo. Verse 2, let's do it. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why your joyous strains prolong? What the gladsome tidings be, which inspire your heavenly song? Yeah! Verse 3, come on. Come to Bethlehem and see Christ whose birth the angels sing. Come adore on bended knee Christ the Lord, the newborn King. Verse 4. him in a manger laid, whom the choirs of angels praise. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while our hearts in love we raise. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Rockin' the Christmas carols, that's how you do it. Take a moment and offer one another a sign of peace. Would you please now?
A brightly painted star. Angels gather round the hearth, strumming on guitars. Men of great renown and faith say prayers on boulevards. It's the night before Christmas. You don't have to be an angel to sing harmony, and you don't have to be a child to love the mystery, and you don't have to be a wise man on bended knee. The heart of this Christmas is in you and me.
For Christmas, the night before Christmas.
If your heart's been longing and you've been afraid to try, sorrows kept you company and the dances passed you by, I'll lift you up and blaze with you across the moonlit sky on the night before Christmas. 'Cause you don't have to be an angel to sing harmony, and you don't have to be a child to love the mystery, and you don't have to be a wise man
And now, an announcement from the American Eggnog Association.
These days, we've been feeling a little less stressed. We're well into the Christmas season, and yet it still looks like we have a few weeks to enjoy the fall colors before winter truly comes in and kills everything off. Our son and daughter both completed their parole sentences and moved out of the halfway house last month. And because they saw us as the source of all their problems, they chose to leave the country and joined a religious cult in Bhutan. We're no longer paying for their court fees, so a couple of times a week we like to go to a nice restaurant and splurge, have a little wine, good food, and conversation. Bob goes on Tuesdays, and I go on Fridays. Well, I was finally feeling like life was getting fun again. Then one afternoon, I looked over at Bob. He was sitting in his favorite easy boy chair, looking out the window and brooding. And so I asked him, Bob, you're happy, aren't you?
Sure, Evelyn. Ecstatic.
I'm serious, Bob. I've been thinking about our kids finding happiness in a tiny third world country near India, and here we are in the land of opportunity and plenty, and I sometimes wonder if you're happy.
Evelyn, why wouldn't I be happy? I'm ebullient.
Come on, Bob. You always seem so serious, and you hardly ever smile.
What do you mean? I'm smiling now. Evelyn, I grew up in the Midwest, and we prided ourselves on keeping our happiness a secret.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Don't you ever want to just let go of all that? You seem so bored with life. Don't you ever want to just let go and play around?
Evelyn, we did that last week.
Wait, what? That's not what I meant. I'm talking about playing a game or something. Just to play, like the other day when we were at the Andersons playing Yahtzee. Why didn't you join in and play with us?
Well, what was the point of that game? There's no skill or competition to it.
It's a game, Bob. It's just for the sake of playing, like taking a walk. That's what we should do. We should go for a walk.
I go to the gym, Evelyn, and walk 3 miles on the treadmill twice a week.
That's not the same thing. I'm talking about walking just to walk.
Walk where?
Nowhere in particular, just walking, just for fun.
Evelyn, if you don't know where you're going, then you're lost.
That's just it, Bob. I want to go out and get lost. Walk for the sake of walking, just for the joy of walking.
Evelyn, you're not making any sense. How is walking playing?
Well, playing is just doing something for its own sake, like painting, just to paint.
This isn't some ploy just to get me to repaint the bathroom now, is it?
Bob, just trust me. Get out of that chair and let's go for a walk outdoors. Let's play.
I still don't understand how that's playing.
I'll tell you what, Bob. We'll go walking and I'll enjoy it and you just pretend to have fun. And when we get back, we'll get into the spirit of the season and find peace, joy, and Bhutan right here with some eggnog. Eggnog has natural mellowing agents and powerful antioxidants that just make life simpler.
This has been a message from your Greater Eggnog Association, wishing you a mellow and oxidant-free holiday season.
Amen and amen. Now, if you'll open your hearts and minds for a reading of John chapter 1, verses 6 through 18. There was a man of God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might love through him. John himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him. Yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who did receive him, who loved in his name, he gave power to be children of God, who were now born, not simply of blood or human birth, but of the Spirit of God. And so the world became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This was he of whom I said, 'He who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me.' From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through the Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God incarnate in Christ, of God's very being, who has made God known." The word of the Lord.
So we are in this season of Advent, and our theme has been the light of hope, the first light in particular. And each Sunday we've sort of echoed a specific aspect of that, hope and love. And then today is joy, and then on Christmas Eve it'll be peace. But as I'm thinking about joy, and I'm thinking about the way in which light illuminates the joy in our life, we had a meeting this past week, and we sat down as a staff and sort of reflected on where we are as a church and what we've been doing this past year, and it was easy for a lot of that to slip by us. Each year, we have a budget. Each year, all of our church members contribute to this budget, and of course, we come to the end of the year, and it's always December, which becomes the critical month. But we always ask, we always put out an emphasis for year-end giving and such, and some of you probably received emails. But as we were sitting down and visiting, it occurred to us how many things over the past year we participated in, how many things we actually did as a congregation and brought light to the world, literally, to the broader community beyond our own walls. And so we put this in your chairs because it highlights a number of the things which we have done. And I'm not going to read through them. I encourage you to do that. But I also encourage you to not just think about fulfilling your pledges and your year-end giving, but actually celebrating the ways in which this church does so much in the community, because it's something that we don't think about. It's something we all give to, but we rarely think about the actual physical, hands-on, boots on the ground, if you will, skin in the game kinds of things that this church does to make a difference in the community, not just in your own lives. A friend of mine recently said something to the effect of that they had started thinking about when they attend a worship service, like you guys attend in here, and this is a different kind of worship service, it's a unique kind of experience. I know for some of you that I visited with, that literally this particular expression of worship has sort of opened you up at a time when your spiritual life felt pretty flat or dead, and that this service has illuminated a lot of that for you. It has for me. And then the music that we have here, which of course, costs. And the band, not all the band are paid, but most of them are. And the music is so illuminating. And so this friend of mine was talking about all the ways in which something was said that suddenly it illuminated something that they were thinking about. And every time they did that, they decided that they would remember how much this has meant to them. It's easy to sort of think how wonderful that was. We heard a song on the radio, how wonderful that was. We heard the band, how moving and inspirational was this. And yet we sort of take it for granted, right? We just do that. And yet there are so many moments in an average hour. This service is so packed with moments of insight that even I and Sharm, the two of us, and Brad, as we sit down and plan it, we're surprised. Afterwards, didn't plan on that, but we received this wonderful sort of insight as a result, some kind of new way of looking at things. Well, this season's all about light and how we bring light to the world, but I just want you to know that you are doing that as well with what you participate in this church. So it seemed appropriate to have this James Taylor song. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes. Ooh. Little darling, I feel the ice is slowly melting. Little darling, seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
So more about joy everywhere, all around, that sometimes gets by us. 20th century American poet Anne Sexton wrote, "Welcome morning. There's joy in it all, in the hair I brush each morning, in the Canon towel newly washed that I dry my body with each morning, in the chapel of eggs I cook each morning, in the outcry of the kettle that heats my coffee each morning, in the spoon and the chair that cry, 'Hello there, Anne,' each morning, and the Godhead of the table where I set my silver, my plate, my cup each morning. All of this is God, right here in my pea green house each morning. I mean, though I often forget to give thanks, to faint down by the kitchen table in a prayer of rejoicing as the holy birds at the kitchen window peck into their marriage of seeds. So while I think of it, let me paint a thank you on my palm for this God, this laughter in the morning, lest it go unspoken. The joy that isn't shared, I've heard. dies young.
I took my tree down to the shore, the garland and the silver star, to find my peace and grieve no more, to heal this place inside my heart. On every branch I laid some bread, and hungry birds filled up the sky. They rang thy bells around my head. They sang my spirit back to life. One tiny child can change the world. One shining light can show the way. Through all my tears for what I've lost, there's still my joy. There's still my joy for Christmas Day. The snow comes down on empty sand. There's tinsel moonlight on the waves. My soul was lost, but here I am. So this must be amazing grace. One tiny child can change the world. One shining light can show the way. Beyond these tears for what I've lost, there's still my joy. There's still my joy for Christmas Day. There's still my joy for Christmas Day.
So good to have Kagan back with us for today, and it's good to have all of our singers, Elena and Lori and Claire. But Kagan was with us for a while, and then she went off to college up in Washington, or I guess Maryland actually, and so she's back. She's back because she's back because she's off for the break, but also because her dad got married last night, and Daryl, many of you know Daryl and Laura, and so I did their wedding last night, and Brad was there to sing, and so was Kagan there to sing, and so it's just been a fun weekend to have Kagan back with us. So I just want to share a couple of quick thoughts, some images for Christmas, and I want to share some of the stranger images for Christmas. Christmas is a mixed time for so many of us. The talk of joy is such a challenging thing, as Sharm was sharing in that wonderful reading. It's such a mixed thing that we have, because there's loss, and some of us are single or alone at Christmas time. Our families might be scattered. It's a mixed time, really, and there's so much sort of pressure for Christmas to be perfect, right? To just be that wonderful thing. Maybe it was when we were kids, or maybe it was the way we see it on the Hallmark Channel. There's just this glitz, and it's Christmas. So I kind of wanted to capture some of the more folkloric sort of presence of Christmas. And by that, what I mean is the presence of active folk art in our community. Now, you don't think of it that way. Some of you think of it as kitsch and uncouth. But every year at Christmas time, our family tries to go around and at least take an evening where we drive around to see the lights, right? But not just any lights. You can go to certain places. You can go to Interlaken. You can go to certain places. For years, we went to the place that did the Peanuts Christmas, right? I don't know if any of you ever saw that one. But they're all themed. There's a Star Wars Christmas out there. There's the all sorts of different themes of Christmas. What I'm looking for is that testament that folk art, independent sort of creativity is still alive. And where you find that is where you see people sort of doing the Christmas matchup, sort of like Sesame Street, where you could kind of look at the scene and go, one of these things is not like the other, It doesn't belong, but it's that true syncretism of the Christmas spirit. So you drive around and you'll see the one scene where there's the family that did the Dia de los Muertos display during the All Saints, the night before All Saints, but they just kept it up, and then they went and put Christmas clothing on them, And then you look over and there's the nativity with the little skeleton baby Jesus, and Santa looks really thin for this time of year, So you see that and you're thinking, like, how wrong is that? But I'm sitting there thinking, how amazing is that? It's so wonderful. And then you go to the other place. There's another place here in town where the wall around the place has been built with stucco and cement and glass bottles, and bottles are everywhere of every sort and color. And then during the normal time of the year, it sort of just looks like that's where they put their leftover bottles. They just stuck them in the cement and plastered them down. During the Christmas season, they string lights. And it just illuminates that little part of the block with these beautiful rainbow of colors. Or you can go down and you can find the place where you can go to those neighborhoods where the houses are just perfectly lit up. They're just glistening aglow with brilliant lights, and that the air traffic controllers are having to skirt traffic past these because the houses they're like Griswold competitions, right? They're so brilliantly lit up. But in our own neighborhood, we have the 20-foot Santa that stands. He's the inflator. He looks like the auto dealership, right? And he inflates 20 feet, and he's brilliantly illuminated. And that's all that's there. It's just the Santa. We're just going to put our blow-up Santa out in the front lawn and rise him up 20 feet. And it was like one day you're there, you look at there, and then the next morning you wake up and, oh my God, there's a 20-foot Santa right across the street. But the problem is that sometimes he's up and sometimes he's down, and it's never consistent, right? So sometimes at night he's illuminated, but he looks like a blob with just a little bit of his head sticking up. And then other times he's fully illuminated during the day, which seems really strange. But you go down the street, and then you have the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil snowmen that are all illuminated, and they're out just in the front lawn just by themselves. And one of my favorite in the neighborhood is a new one, which has the beautiful nativity and wonderful Christmas lights, and then right next to the nativity is Santa in a hot tub with his reindeer. I mean, we could look at it all night long. It's right there. And sure, we're traveling around going like, that's so uncouth. That just is so kitschy and unsophisticated. But I think the newest one that I saw last week was there's a house. Well, I probably shouldn't. I never know if some of these are your houses, to be honest with you. I love them all, okay? So I'm not poking fun at anybody. I'm having fun because it's amazing. But there is one I don't understand where there's like 7 female mannequins dressed in brightly colored drop shoulder dresses, like gowns, and they're just standing illuminated in the yard. I haven't figured that one out yet. They weren't there, now they're there. But you know what I think about all of this stuff? Because we did the same in our house. I mean, you may have that sort of Christmas tradition where everything has to be in its place. And my mother was certainly that way growing up. She had to be part of the social set and society in the community. When she was entertaining, everything had to be perfect, like a Hallmark or a Martha Stewart kind of Christmas. And all the ornaments matched, and the tree was perfect, and all the decorations. And the reality is that life just doesn't go that way, right? Life's going to throw a curve at you. Some of them are steep, and some of them are sharp, and some of them are gentle, but they generally remind you that you just can't make it perfect. If you can, lucky you, and we're all glad, but in the reality, life's just not going to hold to that level of perfection. And it did not for my mother, of course. And what she did was she finally decided that what was more important were historical things, so she loved antiques. But she also loved the ornaments that represented the moments. So even to this day, our tree is the most mixed up, cluttered-looking tree with all sorts of objects that if you just looked at them, you'd think, did you go to a junkyard? Did you go to a resale shop and just pick up stuff? But every one of them has a story. Maybe that's true for you. Maybe you do that as well, where you can walk around and remember who you are or remember what you celebrate. But here's the thing I want to leave with you about all of this, because I do hope you'll go out and you'll look for the mannequin yard and you'll look for the house that has the bottles in the wall, and that you just come to my house and you'll see the Santa and you'll see the Santa with the bathtub and the reindeer. You can see that at my house too. But what I hope you'll do is you'll go out, because what I think it represents, in spite of the fact that yes, people risk their lives getting up on the ladder to do this kind of stuff. Yes, it looks like they have absolutely no taste whatsoever. Yes, they're wasting tons of fossil fuel when we do this kind of thing. But at the same time, it represents something deep within all of us. Nights get long. It's dark out there. It's cold sometimes. It can feel really alone. So we turn on some lights. We light up life around us. And what's really fun to think about that we don't acknowledge is that we do that for one another.
Furry pair of shoes, a ski-doo, a fetching bed cologne, a Pakistani rug, an Elvis Presley mug, oh, the very best of Pericone. There could be a handsome blonde, a Harry Potter wand, oh, those little strips that help you quit snoring, an anti-aging cream, a healthy self-esteem, waiting there for you on Christmas morning. Then again, in light of life's uncertainties, you may not find a single one of these, but guaranteed underneath that tree will be a brand new day begun. The ones who love you are turning earth and a great big shining sun, a big old shining sun. You might like a better job, a diamond ring from Bob, a cabin place on Lake Okoboji. You may pray to be released, or for Middle Eastern peace, or a sword of light like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You can bring your list to Santa on your knees. All he's going to say is we will see, but guaranteed underneath that tree will be a brand new day begun. The ones who love you, the turning earth, and a great big shining sun, a big old shining sun. That's all you get for Christmas. In spite of all your wishes, you might hang your head and then go back to bed, or you might discover it instead. And When you wake and see the day, on the earth you read your name, and you cut the gold ribbons all around it. You still might be surprised and even realize that you got everything you wanted. And when you see underneath that tree another brand new day begun, the ones who love you and a turning earth and a great big shining sun. It's a big old shining sun. Yeah, big old shining sun. And that giant fireball, the biggest ornament of all, hung in the sky Christmas morn.
So it's been so good to see you all this morning. I'm going to invite us all to stand. And when we finish with the blessing, we usually sort of scurry out of here pretty quick. But this last little song, this last hymn, Love Came Down at Christmas, a beautiful carol to sing. So I'm going to invite you all to stick around, sing with us, and then the band will take us out with some other fun Christmas music, I'm sure. Let's take another's hand beside us if we can. I hope this Christmas season that you are blessed with surprises and wonders that just lift your spirit in fun ways. I hope you get a chance to travel around, and as you look at the lights, just to pause for a moment and to maybe just in your heart say, thanks. You know, thanks for putting that out there. Thanks for those mannequins. Thanks for that creative, whatever in the world you were thinking. Thank you for that. And then maybe we recognize in this season that's what we are. That's what we do. We're human. We give light to one another. Let's pray. Holy One, for this blessed season and for the gift of love that we are reminded in this season that is with us always, all the time. Remind us also that we are small flickers of that love and light in the world, and that little creative spirit that we bring, as different and quirky as it might be, is what really makes the world complete. We give thanks as we feel inspired and seek to be more inspired as we move about in this darker season and in these challenging times. We give thanks in the name of the one in whom we live and move and have our being. Amen. Stick around, let's sing this last song.
Love came down at Christmas. Love, a lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Yeah. One more time. Love came down at Christmas. Love, a lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love from God to all of us. Love for plea and gift of sign. Rock out. The chorus. And love shall be our token. Love be yours and love be mine. Love from God to all of us. Love for plea and gift of sign. And love came down at Christmas. Love, a lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas. Stars and angels gave the sign. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, the stove is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight. We're walking in a winter wonderland. Got away, is a bluebird. Here to stay is a new bird. Sings a love song as we go along. We're walking in a winter wonderland. Bridge. And in the meadow he could build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, I am every bit say no man. You can do the job out in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream how to fight. The plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. When it snows, ain't it thrilling? Though your nose get a little chilly, we'll frolic and play the Eskimo way, walking in a winter wonderland. The bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight. Walking in a winter wonderland. Tag, we're walking in a winter wonderland.